I think it's a good point, again, to transition towards a little bit more personal aspects of your theology and ministry, how to manage your mental uh, sanity and then emotional health, and then empathy to the world, because you do a lot of work for schools and students, and then it's like taking care of others almost all the time. And it could be emotional labor sometimes. And how do you sustain yourself? How do you take care of yourself? And how do you manage your relationship, personal relationship to God, although it's not always personal? And I think I have one more question, but I forgot, so I'll ask it later.
Okay, sounds good. I'm I'm a big fan of community, but I've also found that I'm a big fan of also giving myself enough space to kind of decompress. So, especially like with the pandemic and all the weird like isolation from friends, family, and colleagues, and way too much togetherness with my spouse. We had to find like totally new rhythms around all of that. And so we did, like, we figured it out how to have community and stay in touch with folks and then be able to manage even just our own household dynamics. But I've realized that for me to actually walk away from work for a couple hours every day, I mean, more than that, but at least, uh, and like take the dogs on a walk and listen to an audiobook, mostly unrelated to work, that really helps me reset and it helps my attitude overall. I have in the past used chemicals for better living, which has been really helpful. It's not like a constant thing, but I think also giving myself permission, like therapy or like antidepressants or whatever it is I need, is totally fine. And everyone should feel free to do that. But I think in terms of my, I'm always up for connecting with people, and I realize I tend to approach everything kind of as a team. So I have noticed that when I get tired, that's when I act more individualistic and like, I don't need help. I can do it all myself. But when I'm at my most healthy, I'm very much like, people at work, we're a team. So how can we support each other? And I think the staff, especially where I work at the divinity school, we're like really oriented that way already. That's like the community of it. And to think also with friends or even just me and my spouse, like, okay, we're a team. And if we just talk ahead of time and we've decided how to coordinate this, then that's going to help us be healthy. And I realized too that when I have not been doing a lot of active engagement with community members, with other people, that's when I feel most isolated in my faith and like not very healthy in my own spirituality. And so even like just knowing like, oh, that tithe went out, that's good. Like that's one way to connect and to maintain relationships in a worshiping community. That really helps me in my own faith and spirituality. And even when I'm just like, ugh, I'm tired, but I get to hear about these great things that different committees in the church are doing, then that really helps my own sense as well. I feel more connected both to them and to the community and to God. So I would say, yeah, I'm kind of a team player. I'm down with this team.
And speaking of connection and the team, now I remember the question that I forgot before. You are, into my perspective, you are an influencer on social media. If you post something on Facebook, like, or maybe on Instagram too, like people respond and react and interact. And like you create an issue, you know how to create an issue or articulate them. And how do you utilize the space? And because there were lots of discussions about social media, how it can also be detrimental to our mental health and then to our young adults' life. So what's your perspective? I know we have too short time right now, but I just want to know, I'm curious,
Yeah.
what's your secret sauce for the social media?
Yeah, I have had a changing relationship over the years with social media. So initially I had two separate Facebook accounts because, I am queer, and that was not permitted for a long time. And so I kind of kept like personal stuff very separate from worky stuff. And then I think it's when Facebook really helped cause genocide and really messed up elections, like not just in US, but like across the world. Like there were other genocides that Facebook was really instrumental in making happen. That's where I was like, this is not cool. I do not like this. I do not like how much we've all agreed to give. And so part of me wanted to just like give up Facebook, except because I'm Presbyterian and hyper connectional, it's where a lot of my people are located right now. And I'm a little bit like out of sight, out of mind. It's a problem. I'm aware of it. So I ended up shutting down my personal, because then I can like keep in touch with folks differently. And so I keep I call it the professional one, and I try not to post on it too much, in part because to me, I treat it still a little bit like work, and there's like a necessary evil until we figure out a better way. Because I really don't like what they've done as a company. And I then try to make, when I post, things actually have meaning. So I'm not just posting like my thoughts, because I have text messages for that with other people, and I'm already too honest as it is. So I try to keep that to text messages. But then on Twitter, I realize that's like such a different platform. And even though there's like a ton of harassment and it can be terrible, especially for women of color, I really like Twitter, in part because the engagement with ideas, it's really different there. And so that I will do a little more stream of consciousness, to be honest, and engage there just differently than I do on Facebook. And then Instagram is like, it's only my friends. So I'm much more selective about Instagram. I know it's owned by the same company. Yeah, I know it's owned by the same company as Facebook, but I give myself a little different permission there. And I think that's something we all have to do. We all have to figure out for ourselves, like, where's our ethical line? And do we think that we can do more good rather than harm on a given platform?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So you are aware of both the vulnerability and then also the impact you can make through the social media. And then it's good to be aware of the both sides of the sword, right? So
yeah, and I think then always figuring out, okay, when do I need to hop off?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was really, so this was not really about God, but Facebook is sort of a God nowadays. So
I know. And I think, like, especially for us as Presbyterians, and the way that I've been able to make a lot of different relationships through Presbyterian women or through like this national work, then Facebook can be helpful for maintaining that connectionalism. But I understand that it's problematic. Yeah.
So our conversation, God Talk today, ended with the word problematic.
It seems on brand.
Yeah. Well, so thank you so much for your honest, and then as always, very, how can I say, authentic ways of conversation about yourself and about how you think and live as a religious Presbyterian. So yes, and I'd love to catch up with you again, and maybe we will know more as our church is going to the direction where God is leading us.